Alright, so got my irrigation or reservoir bucket set up here. I haven't tested any of these connections or any of the sensors or anything like that, but this is how I'm going to have it set up. This is my test bucket. These are the Home Depot buckets and the Home Depot lids. They're the cheap ones, so they're not good for food storage or water storage. This is just for testing, and my real, like when I do, you know, excuse me, my final version of this, or my actual use version of this, then I'll use a proper bucket, and I use that screw lid. That screw lid's like seven bucks. These are about like $1.30, and they're pretty good. Like, you know, I can peel them off and everything like that, which I kind of like. I also got some 2-gallon buckets, and I might do a smaller test system on that as well. It'll be a little bit nicer and more portable for me, so I'll probably be using something like that. So to start, we'll start with our lid here. Our lid, I have my tubing here. I believe it is 3/4 of an inch outer diameter and a 1/2 inch inner diameter. Yeah, about a 1/2 inch inner diameter, something like that. And the hole for it is about 5/8, I believe, or 3/4, maybe 3/4. I'll put the measurements in the description because I forgot it and I'm recording, so I don't have my notes in front of me. And then I have my 3/4 bulkhead union, bulkhead union dealie. Or my 3/4 bulkhead union. That's exactly what it is. I'm acting like there's something else. So 3/4 bulkhead union. I drilled a hole in the middle of that. That was about 1 inch and 3/4 or so. Over here, this hole for the float valve or the float sensor is about I think 3/8 of an inch. So got these here. Got this will pretty much, that is a bug getting zapped. So this is how it looks on the bottom of it. I've already tested this union, the bulkhead union itself. Put water on it and it works very well. It sealed very well. I didn't get any water coming out of it. I didn't test with this on it, with the float valve on it. And I need to find some way to seal this better for the tubing. I'll probably use silicone, or I have actually some sealant glue here. So True Blue pipe thread sealant, True Blue pipe thread sealant. And you'll see where I applied that mostly a little bit later on. I want to be able to remove these parts, but the other sensors I'm going to show you, I don't really care about removing them. I really worry about it leaking. So that's the lid. Put that over there. And here I got the Home Depot bucket. Let's do this. Probably about 3 inches up from the bottom. 3 inches up from the bottom of the bucket itself. I have this sensor. I got a whole board for it, and this is about 5/8 of an inch. And then halfway up the bucket, so I just measured the distance of the bucket, which is probably about 14.5 inches, and so this is about 7.25 from the bottom of the bucket, or from either end, so it's right there in the middle. And that's another 5/8. I put some True Blue sealant around it. Again, this is not something that's going to be for consumption. If it's going to be for consumption, I'll be a little bit more careful when I actually apply the True Blue, and probably even put some silicone in there, or something that would be, I do a little bit more research in terms of what should I put there, just to make sure that it doesn't contaminate my actual water source and then go into the plants, which might filter some of that stuff out. But definitely I can't use this bucket because it can have contaminants in it. And it's not rated for food or water storage. So these are the sensors on the inside. These are just float sensors. The other one is another float bob sensor. So I just have to figure out how to get them hooked up and wired in, and or wired up to the Raspberry Pi, and so I can actually get sensor data from them and then write logic around that. All in all, once it's all said and done, I should be able to put the lid on like so. Put the lid on like so, and this should be my bucket. So pretty much on this one I have about 3 sensors. I can actually have more sensors in there. The submersible pump that you guys saw in the last video will be inside of this, and then this will be the intake. And I also have I'll have the flow sensor, and I ordered a motorized ball valve. So that's going to be really cool, because I looked at the valve that I had and I thought about it and I was like, well, how can I really control this? And also, I mean, I want it to be where, you know, I can control the pump, but what if the pump kicks on and I don't really need it? Then I want to have some type of fail-safe, but even if the pump kicks on, that's a problem. And I would only also need the pump if I have a water source that doesn't have any type of pressure to it whatsoever, such as a well or anything like that. So a motorized ball valve, which is different than a solenoid-based ball valve. Solenoid, I think it in terms of energy consumption, it always consumes energy, and a motorized only consumes energy when it's open, depending on the motorized ball valve. From the little bit that I looked into, I got a 3/4 of an inch ball valve from US Solid. Looks like a pretty cool company, Solid company. Cost me about $32 for the motorized. For the and I think I got the brass one maybe. And then for the solenoid based one, I believe it's a little bit cheaper, in the $20 range, but you're looking at about like $4 or so. And they also have the stainless steel version, which is probably about, I think, $35.99 or so, and you can get that off of Amazon. That should be coming in on Saturday, which is cool. So I'll have this bulkhead union, the flow sensor, then the actual motorized valve. So it should be weighted heavily, or you should have a lot of sensors and everything like that on this bucket, and this should be a pretty smart bucket, probably smarter than me. Over here I have my step bit system, or my step bit drill set. I just got this in the mail today, so put it to use immediately. I only really used this big one because I had varying size holes, and pretty much just did, hey, listen, a little test drill, and then got that in, and it's like, all right, cool, need a little bit bigger, and then just bored it out from there. And then it also comes with a nice little punch. This set though was like all in pieces, or it was like all jumbled up in the box, but everything was there, so that's all I need, right? And then put everything in order. And so this actually was in pieces. It actually has, oh shoot, I always do that, I'm sorry. This actually has a spring on the inside of it, so once I punch down like this, it gives me a nice little explosion, or a nice little punch there, so that I can make a decent hole, or a decent mark to where actually I can put the tip of the step bit and then start my hole. That's pretty much it. And these buckets, I got them from Home Depot. This bucket's probably about $3 or like $3.30, and I think that's about $2.30, $2.50 for the 2-gallon bucket. And I got lids for it as well. I'll probably use my 1/2 inch bulkhead union valve and then start testing with it, maybe even get another pump system, maybe even start working with dosing systems, and see how that works and go from there. Because with the dosing system, I might have to have a different pump, a little external pump, because I don't, depending on what I actually have in that dosing system, you would want everything to run through it as opposed to like running through the gears and everything like that. But I also don't know how those are built, so I'm kind of prematurely optimizing or thinking about that, and I haven't even gotten one or taken one apart. But that's pretty much it for today, guys. Thanks very much as always. Peace.